So, ladies and gentlemen, chers mesdames et messieurs, sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, I promise to learn more languages till the next Sectoral Council of Donors that are in the European Union. But until then, these are the three ones I know. I'm very pleased to welcome you at the last Sectoral Council in the field of external assistance of 2024. And this one is special because we have the Prime Minister here to give you a welcome speech. The Prime Minister is also the acting Minister of Energy currently. And it's also an opportunity to discuss about the state of emergency that was instated as of today. So we will be a little bit more flexible and change a bit the agenda. So after the speech of the Prime Minister, I suggest you ask all the questions you have related to the energy crisis, and then we can let the Prime Minister leave and enjoy the usual meeting that we have. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you, Christina. First of all, thank you very much for helping Moldova going through this transition. Otherwise, quite difficult. What is special about today's meeting is that this morning, judging from the auctions, it appears that Gazprom has not booked the gas through the southern routes or the Trans-Balkan routes in order to supply gas to the left bank. And the problem is that first of all, Russia does not withdraw its military and troops from Transnistria, and correspondingly the government has limited capability to intervene to help people there. This is a crisis induced by energy. This is not an energy crisis for Moldova. This is a crisis that is induced by not delivering to the people on the left bank. Sure, there is still time for Russia to book the daily capacities to deliver gas on the left bank, but obviously this can affect technically the grid on the right bank. Thanks to your assistance and your help, we achieved independence in terms of delivery of gas. What means independence? It means that Moldova is free to choose where from and when it chooses to buy and have gas delivered to the right bank, but also to the left bank ultimately. So in terms of gas supplies, Moldova achieved independence. In terms of electricity supplies, we're still very much dependent on how the electricity producers, the major electricity producer on the left bank is behaving, but also on its technical infrastructure. Correspondingly here, by the end of the year, we plan to finish and to commission the high voltage line Vulcanești-Chișinău, and this will add up to the electricity, to the independence in the electricity sector. Energy-wise, still, Moldova has to work hard on its, let's say, independence, because we still have to cope with the transition from lower priced energy to market price energy. The current setup with the MGRES producing electricity for the right bank and correspondingly supplying the resources necessary in order to keep alive people on the left bank, I mean particularly pensioners, but also part of the public administration. So we have to make this transition both on the left side and on the right side from no cost or lower cost energy to market priced energy. This means a nationwide and economy-wide effort in improving energy efficiency. And this goes hand in hand with us becoming greener, with us becoming more, how to say, efficient. So we also have to work on the labor productivity and productivity altogether in the economy, and this will diminish the share of energy consumed overall in the economy. There are particular projects that we are implementing again together with you, and this is, for example, I think this is a great project, the so-called horizontal district heating model. This will improve very much the control that everyone has over its energy consumption, and correspondingly this will provide the necessary incentives to our people in order to control the energy it uses. I'm very happy we work together on the power generation capacity, and this is not only on gas, but very importantly, renewable resources. I'm very much looking forward to the next year completion of the first large competition or tender for the renewables. The power generation is also very important. Controlled power generation and efficient power generation is also very important to ensure balancing needs. And when I'm saying balancing needs, we have to take into account that we are now in a very, how to say, dire spot with the Ukrainian infrastructure being constantly hit by Russian drones and ballistic missiles. And this is inducing uncertainties and technical problems in the regional grid. You may know that yesterday or before yesterday, the high voltage line leading to Hungary in Ukraine has been hit, and this diminished automatically the capacity that can be used in the ENTSO grid in order to supply Ukraine and Moldova. In terms of balancing, we are very happy with the project that we're having for this battery storage capacity that will help Moldova. And here I'd like to thank the United States. I'd like to thank all the countries and European Union that help us, including Norway, Sweden. I wouldn't name it all, but please, excellencies and representatives of those countries, thank you very much. World Bank is great in supporting us with the power generation. I think we can still improve on the efficiency of the processes that both us and World Bank has on these programs in order to move them faster. And obviously the crisis is the crisis, but we have to move forward with the reform agenda, and then we're very glad that with difficulties, with all these problems that we have, but we implemented the unbundling, the third package. We still need to advance on this one. We still need to encourage market players to come both on the gas and electricity retail market, and we still need to do a lot of work in terms of energy efficiency. Again, thank you very much to all of you for this solidarity together with Moldova, with the people of Moldova. What we feel now is that we have a responsibility not only for us but also for the region, because whatever happens here in Moldova is also contributing to easing the life of the brave Ukrainians who are now fighting hard, not only for themselves but for the security of Europe. Thank you. Now, as Christina said, if there are any questions related to the current security situation and the what can happen as a result of Gazprom cutting the gas to the left side of Dnistru, I will be gladly answering.
Are there any questions? Please, you don't see the Prime Minister every day. So.
Yeah, no, please. I think there was a question.
If I may, thank you, Prime Minister, for your speech. The situation on the left bank, conditions of coal-firing units that were not run for several years now, is there credible information that they are ready to generate, and coal reserves. Do we know what is the volume and what is the stage of degradation of that coal? Because over here, coal is losing the quality. Thank you.
Look, we don't have, reliable information because this is not the authorities on the right bank that are, checking on this. But we understand that they can survive 30 to 50 days for sure. What the left bank is doing is also accumulating some gas reserves in the operating balance account. And we are also taking up measure in order to make sure that if the crisis happens, it doesn't unfold immediately, but comes in stages, of course. Good, and thank you very much again. I'm looking forward to a good collaboration, and as I said, we from one side we have to manage the current crisis that as they are unfolding, but from the other side we have to continue to implement the necessary reform. The strategic objective of Moldova is to be part of the European Union, and this means that we have to make sure that all the legislation is not only approved, but also very importantly implementing. Correspondingly, besides the specific projects, the investment projects in energy that we have to do, it's also very important to implement the reform agenda together. I think there is a question. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Verena Zell from the German Embassy. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about the compensations planned for the people of Moldova. Are they going to rise? Is there enough budget allocated for the compensations? Thank you.
Depending on how much money is available, obviously we will look into supporting the most needy part of the population, but also in terms of the businesses to make funding available, particularly for investment into energy efficiency rather than simply subsidizing the current tariffs. As I said, this is a economy-wide problem that Moldova is still using energy at the sub-market value, and we have to do this transition rather than expect that it will hit us. Okay, then thank you very much, and then I'll leave Christina on the stage. I see she likes it. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. So, dear all, we'll be chairing this together with Denis Tomruk from Energy Communities. He's the co-chair of the Sectoral Council in the field of external assistance. And I'd like to apologize that every time we have very small screens, but we will be sending presentations to each of you, as we usually do. Today we also have everyone, state secretaries from the Ministry of Energy, Karolina Novak and Konstantin Borosan. He'll be joining us at 3 p.m. He's in a meeting. So please, you can ask questions related to energy efficiency, renewable energy, gas, electricity, scenarios on the crisis, everything you need. We are as transparent as we can. So I would like to start with EU accession progress, as this is number 0 priority of the Republic of Moldova. And, well, the text is very small. But comparing to 2023, the European Commission report stated that Moldova is moderately prepared in the area of energy. And second, it made good progress during the reporting period. Also, speaking about the European Commission report, we had several recommendations for this year 2024. So one of them was to align and implement the Clean Energy for All Europeans package, including the Renewable Energy Directive and the Electricity Integration Package adopted by the Energy Community Ministerial Council in December 2022, and initiate the establishment of an electricity market operator. So as of today, we are 67% done with this recommendation. The next one is adopt the energy strategy for 2050, finalize and adopt the National Energy and Climate Plan in line with the Energy Community 2030 energy and climate objectives. We're a little bit late today, but we are, when it comes to the energy strategy, so it's 80% project concept ready and 50% approval phase, and the National Energy Climate Plan is 68% submitted to legal expertise. The next recommendation is to establish the National Energy Efficiency Fund with a focus on interventions in the residential sector, taking into account regional best practices. So this is 100% implemented. So the recommendations for 2025 are prioritize alignment with the electricity integration package and take further steps towards coupling the electricity market with the EU. It should be adopted, the law should be adopted in the first quarter of 2025. The National Energy Climate Plan, we plan the adoption in the first quarter of 2025 and the implementation until 2030. And also organize the first standards for large-scale renewables investments, implementing the EU Renewable Energy Directive and accelerate the transposition of the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. So the general term for construction of power plants is 2028, and from 2028 to 2043. So we should have a regulated electricity contract and contract for difference between large eligible producers and the central supplier for 15 years. So moving to chapter 21st, that is about interconnections. So the recommendation for this year was to accelerate the construction of the 400 kV Vulcanești-Chișinău power lines and secure project financing and start the construction of a new 400 kV power interconnection between Suceava in Romania and Belts in Moldova. So Vulcanești-Chișinău is 47% ready, and the Belt-Suceava is 25% ready. So all in all, it's 36%. The recommendation is, of course, to accelerate and consolidate electricity interconnections, focusing on completing Vulcanești-Chișinău power line by the end of next year and progressing with the interconnection between Suceava and Romania in Belts. That is planned to be ready by the end of 2027. And the economic criteria is the recommendation for this year was increasing investment in infrastructure, in particular to improve energy security and facilitate international trade and digitalization. So this is 100% filled. Why? Because we have financial support for all the high voltage lines. So it's Vulcanești-Chișinău, it's Belt-Suceava, and it's Strășeni-Gutinaș. Strășeni-Gutinaș is estimated to be ready by the end of 2030. When it comes to the calendar, I think you know that every ministry and every chapter has a calendar. So we are going according to the calendar. Even tomorrow we have a meeting with all the working group on chapter 15 on energy to discuss 3 more presentations. So we're this way we are getting ready for the bilateral screening, and we will have our first simulations in April next year. The bilateral screening itself is planned for the 10th of July next year. And also this year, in the beginning of this year, we held the high-level energy dialogue in the Republic of Moldova. It was on the 2nd of February. Within the dialogue, we adopted a roadmap. So as of today, reforms in the electricity sector and the transposition of electricity integration package is still ongoing. the gas market liberalization and transposition of regulation of EU 2017/1938 on storage and SOS regulations is partially completed, and amendments to the renewable energy law is completed, and renewable energy integration and increased energy efficiency, so adoption of secondary legislation to transpose RED II directive is partially completed. By the way, we plan the next high-level energy dialogue taking into consideration the situation in the beginning of 2025, and we already have invited the new energy commissioner to the Republic of Moldova, so we'll keep everyone updated on when it will be happening. Moving on with the updates on the activities of the Ministry of Energy, so drafting the National Energy and Climate Plan. So it was submitted for public consultations in September this year. We received comments a month after that, so in the beginning of October. According to the procedure, we submitted it to legal and anti-corruption expertise to the Ministry of Justice and National Anti-Corruption Center, and we plan to approve it in January next year. We also have a very important project on establishing of energy communities, and last week we had a training organized by Deutsche Energieagentur. So as of today, we finalized the selection of 4 primary beneficiaries to receive capacity building, technical and regulatory advice. The Ministry of Energy also added 4 additional municipalities which expressed interest in energy community projects, and the regulation on renewable energy communities has successfully passed public consultations, and it is scheduled to be approved this month. Yes, Carolina? Or will be late? Oh, it's this month. Okay. Thank you. So, as you already know, because we keep voicing it out, that we'll have the first ever auction in Moldova for construction of wind power plants of 105 megawatts and photovoltaic plants of 60 megawatts. So the investor status is that winners will receive the status of large eligible producers. The guarantees are that the produced energy will be purchased for 15 years. The submission deadline is 31st of March, and the offer opening date is the 1st of April next year. Moving to energy efficiency and recently approved policy documents starting October. So in October, there was approved the government decision in the technical regulation of the tire labeling. The next is amending the government decision approving the regulations on eco-design requirements applicable to energy-related projects. In November this year, so the law for the ratification of the loan agreement between the Republic of Moldova and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development for the implementation of the project Sustainable Energy Efficiency Transition in Moldova was approved. This is STEM project. So the law for the ratification of the grant agreement between the Republic of Moldova and International Bank of Reconstruction and Development and International Development Association for the implementation of the Multi-Donor Trust Fund program Growth, Resilience and Opportunities for Well-being in Moldova for the co-financing of the STEM project was also approved, and the government decision approving the regulation of the energy audit of for large enterprises passed this year in December. So continuing with energy efficiency on the agreement of the STEM project. So the project budget is $50 million from the International Bank of Reconstruction and Development as a loan. We have also $4.5 million MGRO grant. The implementation plan is from 2024 till 2029. So is the energy renovation of 46 pre-selected educational buildings in the Republic of Moldova, installation of 300 individual heat points at building level, and reconfiguration of the thermal energy supply network within the centralized system. So also as the next steps would be the approval of the operational manual, signed implementation agreement, employment of project dedicated specialists in the environment domain, social aspects in health and safety at work, and release of the legal opinion by the Ministry of Justice regarding the loan agreement. On electricity, so electricity integration package, that is a very, very important document, 9 altogether. So 5 of them are the responsibility of the National Regulatory Agency, and will be a secondary framework, and the other regulations and government decision that was approved last week is to be transposed in the new electricity law. Also in November this year, with a view to the operationalization of the organized electricity markets, the Operatore Pietri de Energie submitted for public consultations the operational procedures for the functioning of the organized markets, as well as the manner of registration, suspension, and revocation, withdrawal of participants of the organized electricity market. In addition, OPEM has sent the necessary letters to the NEMO Committee Secretariat for becoming observer to all level of NEMO cooperation, respectively, NEMO Committee, NEMO Day Ahead project, and NEMO Intraday project. In accordance with the government decision 517/2024 on the approval of the regulation of the construction, reconstruction of power plants and the abrogation of some government decisions, the Ministry of Energy received 2 applications for the authorization of power plants, which were examined during the meeting of the Authorization Commission on December 4, 2024. Respectively, 2 government decisions are to be approved for the authorization of power plants with a total capacity of 90 megawatts photovoltaic. Another government decision also this year in December is on the amendment of government decision on the expropriation for reasons of public utility of immovable property and the right of use of immovable property. And this actually makes easy to build the power lines, because it helps us to, let's say, in a simple language, to take away the land, to ensure that we can build the power line in a more rapid way. The next slide is also on the government decisions approved. So the draft government decisions on the approval of the regulation regarding the granting of fiscal and customs facilities for the import and or deliveries of goods and or services intended for the implementation of the project interconnection of the electricity networks between the Republic of Moldova and Romania Phase 2 was submitted for public consultation. The national risk assessment of the relevant risks affecting the security of electricity supply was developed with the support of United Nations Development Programme and was approved by the government decision in December this year. And also the regulation on the protection of electricity grids. The approval is planned for the government meeting this week on Wednesday. On electricity interconnections, on June 25th this year, the Commission investigating the subject following presentations of the Ministry, Mode Electrica and MEPU established the existence of the justifying elements for declaring the construction works of the overhead high voltage line for 400 kV Belt-Suceava as a public utility of national interest. So the Ministry has initiated the process of elaboration of the draft law to that regard to be approved in 2025. In November this year in Bucharest, a meeting was held between Mode Electrica and Transelectrica and the Ministry of Energy from Romania and Moldova. The event took place within the framework of the regional project investments in the development of energy assets, organized by the United States Agency for International Development. The discussions focused on the 400 kV Strasheni-Gutinash strategic project aimed at building a new overhead power line interconnecting the Republic of Moldova with Romania. They also discussed analysis of possible proposed routes to the power line, preliminary environmental and social impact assessment, and details on the preparation of the design phase of the overhead power line and transformer stations. So also continuing with electricity interconnections. So the project, the construction of a single circuit 400 kV high voltage Vulcanești-Chișinău has the length of 158 kilometers. So we expect the modernization and extension of 2 electrical substations, the consolidation, the dispatching and evidence systems, and technical assistance and project management. So implementation costs are 61 million euro, covered by International Development Association, IDA, World Bank Group Loan Agreement. The second interconnection, which is also high voltage overhead power line with a length of 48 kilometers, is designed to modernize also Belt's 330 kV power station, and is a project on the reconstruction of Moldelectrica power stations. The deadline is the fourth quarter of 2027, and the costs are estimated to 77 million euro. It's covered by EBRD loan agreement and by BE loan agreement and EU grant. The construction of another 400 kV overhead power interconnection between Strășeni and Gutinaș is planned to have a length of 70 kilometers, and the costs, at least the memorandum of understanding, is on behalf of to be financed on behalf of USAID. Continuing also with electricity interconnections that are also important on the part of Moldova, Ukraine. So the construction of the secondary circuit of 330 kV overhead power interconnection line between Belts and Dnistrovsk hydropower plant, and the discussions about initiating a common project began in 2022 following a call from the Energy Community Secretariat for identifying projects of energy community interest. So Moldelectrica proposed and promoted the project. On June 19th this year, the fourth meeting of the PECI groups was held, during which the results of the cost-benefit analysis of the projects were presented. The project of the secondary circuit was validated as one of the 6 validated projects, ranking second. And following consultation and analysis by the Energy Community Regulatory Committee, the projects were submitted to the Ministerial Council for the adoption of the new list of PECI projects on December 12th this year. So, and the feasibility study and environmental impact assessment are under development. Natural gas, the most volatile subject. So, in October, gas storage regulation was approved for government decision, and Energocom is the designated entity responsible for creating gas stocks. 50% of at least 145.6 million cubic meters, of which 47.1 million cubic meters gas security stocks until 1st October 2024, according to the government decision. Risk assessment in the gas sector and the action plan for emergency situations were developed with the support of United Nations Development Programme and presented to the Energy Community Secretariat. It was approved by a government decision, and winter plan for the next winter session was also approved by a government decision as the plan of measures for the preparation of the heating season 2024-2025. It includes 44 targeted measures to ensure the energy security of the Republic of Moldova. Continuing with natural gas, so working on ensuring an increase of bidirectional capacities at the interconnection points, Trans-Balkan route inverse flow with neighboring countries. The transportation company from Ukraine and LLC Vestmol Transgaz are now working on technical issues for the increase of the capacities. So their capacity was increased from 0 to 1 million cubic meter day physical firm capacity, and the capacity from Cochin was also increased from 10 to 11.5 million cubic meter per day. The concept for the management of gas networks, which are not owned by system operators, elaborated with the support of Soros Foundation, to be followed by support and screening of the legislation and drafting the necessary amendments to implement it. Thermal energy and cogeneration. So Termoelectrica Chisinau District Heating Project. After approval by the Interministerial Committee for Strategic Projects in the beginning of July, the request for financing of the project was sent to EBRD, EIB, EU NIP, and E5P. Currently, the EU NIP and the E5P approval has been received, so the loan agreement between the Republic of Moldova and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development regarding the implementation of the project, optimization of the centralized thermal energy supply system in the municipality of Chisinau, was signed on November 25. It was signed actually online. For the first time we had such an experience. And sustainable heating roadmap, so tasks 1 and 2 have been completed. Currently intensive work is underway on task 3, which will involve a meeting with Exertia experts to elaborate an additional scenario as a result of the internal validation of assumptions, ensuring alignment with state policy. Moving to digitalization, cybersecurity and innovations. And in this regard, the smart metering pilot program is led by the Ministry of Energy, implemented by United Nations Development Program and funded by the government of Italy. The current phase involves deploying 35 smart meters along with the necessary infrastructure to a sample of residential and public consumers, covering approximately 3% of all electricity customers, with potential expansion underway up to 100,000 is under negotiation now, out of which 3,000 smart meters are already installed for technological testing and data collection purpose, in close collaboration with distribution operators to refine and scale up deployment. So the remaining smart meters are currently under manufacturing process and planned to be installed during the first quarter of 2025, ensuring full operational integration. Through a detailed mapping and documentation exercise, electricity distribution and supply business processes were enhanced for all 4 regulated operators, ensuring alignment with EU standards, enabling environment for a meter data management system for greater accuracy, and ultimately advancing toward the more efficient, transparent, and compliant advanced metering infrastructure in electricity and thus energy security. The Ministry of Energy, electricity operators, with the support of UNDP, are extending communication efforts and capacity building that includes consumer outreach to explain the benefits of advanced metering infrastructure, training for operators to effectively manage the advanced metering infrastructure, and encouraging the adoption of differentiated tariffs, promoting efficient electricity usage and dispelling common energy myths. Continuing with the smart metering pilot program, so the ongoing pilot informs key policies and regulatory needs improvements, such as metrological verification of metering equipment in cooperation with the Ministry of Economic Development and Digitalization, and the introduction of differentiated tariffs pilot in cooperation with National Regulatory Agency. An assessment is underway in January next year using hourly electricity consumption data for the installed meters to assess how existing coefficients will influence consumer behavior. The findings will enable to identify more effective tools for encouraging efficient electricity use and inform strategic adjustments to support the pilot's goals. A comprehensive cost-benefit analysis is planned to start in early 2025, focusing on the feasibility and impact of a future national rollout based on pilot and in line with the actions and targets set in National Energy Climate Plan. And insights gathered through such pilots are informing and supporting draft sectoral national strategy development, particularly around necessary digitalization efforts and cybersecurity measures. Moving on with enhancing cybersecurity in the energy sector, which is, by the way, an area of concern. So currently the Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with the Agency for Public Property and with support from Denmark, is conducting cybersecurity audits for 7 state-owned enterprises and energy operators. It is implemented by United Nations Development Program, so a preliminary draft of the cybersecurity resilience vulnerability level findings is expected by the end of February next year, and a full audit with recommendations will be ready by the end of May next year. In this context, the concept for a unified security operations center, which is also called CyberSOC, has been developed by the Ministry of Energy to further strengthen and modernize the overall cyber protection of entities within the energy sector. Subsequent report is expected to implement the key priorities measure identified during the audit, focusing on institutional capacity building, infrastructure modernization, enhanced incident response, and the adoption of international best practices and required standards. And the Ministry of Energy and International Business Machines, IBM, are in the process of discussing the possible signing of a memorandum of understanding in the view of mutual interest in productive cooperation and commitment to exchange experience on a wide range of issues related to digitization and cybersecurity. Moving on to sandboxes in energy. So in summer this year, a new law on innovations in energy sector was passed by the Parliament. So the secondary legislative framework is ready and now is being reviewed by National Anti-Corruption Center of Ministry of Justice. So we are practically ready to start already the trainings for national companies and international ones to apply for the regulatory sandbox and to become a hub for innovations in this region. And we are practically at the end of the presentation, and we are always ending with needs and studies. I'll start with the general needs and then end with top priority needs. So currently we have 8 general needs. So the first one is expert support to establish a central stockholding entity for mandatory petroleum products reserves. It would involve identifying an international expert with extensive experience in the field to be assigned to Moldova for a 12-month period to facilitate the process of creation and development of the entity. The estimated budget is 100,000 euro. The second need is financial support for the elaboration of the National Territorial Development Plan, which will include new energy infrastructure projects at the local level, such as electricity, gas, and heating networks, wind and solar power plants. The estimated budget is between 500,000 euro till 1.5 million euro. The third is developing a study on the impact analysis of energy labeling of household appliances, savings and benefits. The budget is to be estimated. The fourth one is developing a study on assessing energy poverty in Moldova, perspectives and challenges in the post-energy crisis context. The budget is also to be estimated. The fifth necessity is assistance in acquiring a license for access to an energy and natural gas market analysis platform, such as Bloomberg. So the estimated budget is 30,000 euro per year. The sixth one is developing a study on the risks, opportunities, and potential challenges associated with migrating from volumetric units to energy units in the natural gas market. The estimated budget is 10,000 euro. The seventh need is support and capacity building on the solid biomass producers in order to meet the requirements of quality of solid biofuels. The budget is to be estimated. And the eighth need is development of the biogas sector in Moldova in the context of sustainability requirements for biomass and the emergence of organized electricity markets. So the budget is also to be estimated. And our top priority needs, which are also 8. So the first one is technical assistance for drafting the framework and technical specifications related to the balancing capacity auctions. It's an urgent need, but the budget is to be estimated. And the second one is elaboration of studies for the establishment of unitary heating areas for Chisinau belts in the context of the new provision of the law on thermal energy and the promotion of cogeneration. The estimated budget is 80,000 euro. And the third one is within the framework of digitalization and cybersecurity, there exists a critical need for software and hardware provision for the Ministry of Energy and its subordinate institutions. So the estimated budget is 5 million euro. The fourth top priority need is guide on the development of the feasibility study demonstrating the economic profitability on the disconnection of the centralized thermal energy supply. So this is a top need for the National Center for Sustainable Energy. The budget is to be estimated. The fifth top priority need is the development of a comprehensive study on the economic feasibility of installing individual thermal energy metering equipment, as well as the optimal solution for the reconstruction of internal heating systems horizontally and vertically. It's also a need of the National Center for Sustainable Energy, and the budget estimated is 30,000 euro. The sixth one is a priority that we have spoken about several times before, is the inventory of the ownership of the gas networks. It is, let's say, you know, gas, it's always a scandalous subject, but we need to close this toxic relationship. That's why we need to have this inventory of the gas networks, and the estimated budget is 25 million euro. The seventh top priority need is the inventory of the stocks of public buildings and development of the plan for thermal rehabilitation and sustainable connection in district heating. The budget is 25,000 euro. And the last one, the technical assistance for the implementation of activities according to the Article 2 of Law 331/2023, amending Law number 10/2016 on the promotion of the use of energy renewable sources. This is also a need of the National Center of Sustainable Energy, and the budget is to be estimated. So saying this, I would like to thank you and to invite you to address questions, and hopefully we have answers. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. This a simple clarification or question at the same time. When we saw at the PowerPoint the whole scheme of the gas supply, storage, and strategic stock, you mentioned the Trans-Balkan network. And there is no reference to the other vertical corridor, the upstream also, that goes from Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, then to you, and they have another direction to Hungary and Slovakia.
Indeed, there was no mention because we agreed not to put it in the presentation, but I'll ask my colleagues from the gas department to intervene. Who is here?
What was the question actually? I
Yep.
also missed it.
Yep. Yes, but as a remark, we can give some explanations. Sandra, would you like to say anything?
Hello. My name is Sandro from Ministry of Energy, Division of Natural Gas and Oil and Gas Products. And remark on the presentation was that you didn't see the Trans-Balkan on the... Yes.
Vertical corridor.
So we have also the vertical corridor, considering as one of the options of supply, indeed. So we are considering also these ones.
Are there any suggestions, questions on the presentation?
Madam Chair, if I may ask one clarification, please. So you refer to 90 megawatts of solar PV new capacity that seek for authorization from the government. 90, right? Correct.
Yeah,
That was
90.
which will cap on top of the existing 500 and a bit already present in the system.
And hello, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, maybe I can explain a bit. Indeed, in accordance with the governmental decision 410, we have in terms of renewables. We have the feed-in tariff and reference then to net billing capacities, and above all in the NECP we have 600 megawatts. Referred as capacities for wind to be installed, and for solar, if I'm not mistaken, 350 max. Now, what's happening actually, and this is the good positive line we see here, is that even in absence actually of this support mechanism, the private market has really spiked significantly, and in fact this modeling even referred as in terms of installed capacities by 2030 they will be overpassed. This indicates the maturity of these technologies. This indicates as well the stability that this rules electricity regulatory framework is stable enough that is encouraging these investments despite the war also in Ukraine. So it's a good point right now. Actually, with the colleagues, we are reviewing a bit the data on NECP, and as well for solar we may as well increase it a bit. But this is in fact a good sign, the fact that the private sector is picking up and not looking specifically just for the support mechanisms. They are investing directly in the free market.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alexandru Sândulescu, and just to complement what State Secretary Carolina Novak already mentioned with some technical details, there is a government decision which oblige any investor which want to invest in electricity generation over 20 megawatt of installed power to ask the government for approval, and seems to be an investor with two solar parks, one of 50, one of 40 megawatts, so in total 90 megawatts, which already asked for such an approval from the government. This is an investment on, let's say, the free market, so they will have to sell electricity on the free market, because in the tenders which are organized as mentioned by Carolina, this approval of the government comes automatically when the government decision regarding their regarding the list of the winners is published automatically. The winners are also have also granted this approval of building units more than 20 megawatts. Thank you.
Yeah, very quickly on the poverty assessment, you raised there was one of the. Sorry.
Just a second, because
yeah,
colleagues are
there's a-
discussing. I
yeah.
can't hear. Could you please be so kind as to repeat?
Yes, on the poverty assessment, because it was raised that there might be a need for poverty assessment and poverty estimates for the in Moldova. I think we have just the World Bank has just finished the poverty assessment, which, although based on the previous data, it doesn't take into account what's happening now. But again, when you'll see the presentation from my colleagues, the energy team, I think there are some estimates what this crisis could result in. I think building on that, I think we'll need to discuss the time frame, but I think the World Bank can definitely look into and continue analysis on the poverty results from the crisis.
Thank you. Please.
Just thank you very much. Just to complementary to what Inguna said, there is also last week the UNDP published the impact assessment of the Energy Vulnerability Fund for the previous season on the energy poverty in particular. So there is some modeling done there as well. So the data is now available, and I would be happy to share the report. And also we are planning to conduct the impact assessment of the compensations for the current heating seasons on the energy poverty. So then, we could see in a complementary way, basically, together with yourself or whoever is owner of this particular assessment, how to scope that future modeling and impact assessment so that we can answer the questions that you might want to have answers through this impact study.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any more comments, questions? If not, then I suggest we move further. And today we have a special guest traveling from Geneva to our meeting. So Mr. Igor Litvinuk, Economic Affairs Officer from United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, will be presenting us the project on improving the energy efficiency of the global building supply chain industry and its products to deliver high-performance buildings.
Thank you very much, Madam, and greetings to everyone, distinguished delegates. Thank you very much. It's a big privilege to address you today. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I don't think I can fix it, so it's kind of a noise a little bit. Oh, that works much better. So once again, thank you very much for giving the floor. It's a pleasure to address you today and present the project that we've been working on for quite a while, and you will see the background information as we move forward in the presentation. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes for you to get acquainted with the project. I will not go into details, but rather give some high-level considerations, the key objectives and impacts that we could expect from this project. And of course, at the end, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. So what we see as a challenge and what triggered actually the development of this project proposal back in the years is a set of challenges that that each country actually is facing. So first would be the high energy consumption of the building stock, regardless of the country. It is the case, it's in average above 40% of energy consumption is being represented by the building stock. In Moldova in particular, it's about 53%, and we know that the built-in buildings are mostly constructed, 3/4 of the buildings are constructed before 1990, meaning that this share would only grow unless we address this issue comprehensively. The second challenge is the technical and knowledge gaps, lack of standardization and common approaches to achieving certain energy efficiency benchmarks and energy performance benchmarks. Economic and financial barriers, clearly access to financing, initial capital investments in refurbishment and renovation of the building stock. Certainly we have social cultural factors, certain resistance from the populations and the local industries to change the traditional ways of construction, of operation of buildings. And at the end, last but not least, policy and regulatory environments. Oftentimes, projects are being implemented without strong political support to promoting the sustainability principles and practices that are being embedded in such projects. So there's no exit strategy from a given project. So addressing all this represents a sort of a unique opportunity for action. So what about the project itself? It's fostering a transition towards more sustainable built environment and energy efficient building practices in the Republic of Moldova. It, as far as we are concerned in UNEC, fixing the demand should be prioritized to further address any related energy matters, and clearly energy efficiency does contribute to energy security. And this project, as being proposed, does support energy security, increase of energy efficiency and development of renewable energy sources, very well aligned with the strategic priorities of the country. As we have heard, we heard about efficiency, heard about renewables, trade development, economy-wide changes, positive changes. Certainly this project would also contribute to, as Moldova aligns itself with the targets set by the European Union, it does support the Moldova's efforts to reduce the environmental footprints, the carbon footprints. The project aligns with the European climate law and has direct supports for sustainable development goals, most notably, certainly on energy and energy efficiency in particular. This is a very complex graphics, and I would echo Christina for her remark that the screens are small, and I don't think it's possible to see anything here. But what I would like to mention at this slide is that the project would focus on the entire value chain, providing for a transformative approach from not only construction itself, but also addressing the methods and techniques for production of the materials, the cement industry, windows, doors, insulation, everything that goes into the construction site, not addressing the transport matters, then the construction techniques themselves, then management of the buildings and operational maintenance, and then when it comes to demolition, the supporting the circularity aspects and tracking the materials. You would see the key objectives or outputs from the project and some policy markers that it contributes to. Here, the brief overview and perhaps the idea to show you the level of elaboration of this project, and it has been very well thought through together with the implementing partners that contributed to shaping this, to designing this project. So it's organized into 4 work packages that address 3 areas of intervention, which are policy, capacity building, and piloting. It includes up to 30 activities which might be tailored to the specific country needs. What would be the impact is a transformation of the building sector supply chain from source to production through construction to demolition, all of this embedding the energy efficiency as a key, and therefore some measurable reduction in environmental impact. We will make sure that that would be an enhanced coordination across the industry actors and the government and key stakeholders who are the inhabitants and users of the created building stocks. And the project certainly offers a range of co-benefits, some of those mentioned here, which are social, environmental, economic, overall governance and policy framework. I hope the presentation will be shared further on, and so that you could get acquainted a little bit, and we'll be happy to share additional details about the project itself. So some additional characteristics are also mentioned here. It's the idea. There is an innovation component in the project, a transformative character of changing the whole value chain. Certainly gender responsibility, sustainability, and multiplier effect for various sectors in the economy, so economy-wide measures. There is a huge potential for synergies with the other projects, and 16 of them have been mentioned as a future activities within the country, and perhaps this could even further strengthen the joint work that we and the results that we could achieve together. And certainly visibility and knowledge management. This project would have a huge potential for replication because it will work towards development the common approaches to addressing the matters related to building stock and its energy performance. So a very brief background of why this project has been that well elaborated is because it's been designed back in March 2020 when, together with the 13 implementing partners and UNEC as the lead, we've been focusing on 7 beneficiary countries, and the project was submitted to the International Climate Initiative of Germany for funding. It's been positively considered, and we had a 6-month preparation phase that took place from June to November 2023. And after the submission of the final project proposal, the idea for why the preparation phase was in place. After the submission of the project proposal, we've unfortunately received the letter from the government advising on the lack of budgetary resources to support these activities across 7 beneficiary countries for 4 to 6 years. So that's why this project is being proposed for consideration by the Council in view to get interest from the community, and perhaps also included in the list of potential projects to be funded in Moldova, which would clearly benefit significantly from the activities, and the expression of interest has been received from many agencies, and support has been shown as well over the years. On that, I would invite any questions that you might have, and otherwise would close my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Igor. I'll ask Carolina to make some comments on the project.
Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Christina. I would just add the following, because what we've always been promoting with energy efficiency is that it holds the potential not only to retrofit and reduce consumption bills and so on, it also holds the great opportunity to be the economic driver of this country as well. And we do have companies, I think we've seen at the Gala Ecoenergetica that the National Center of Sustainable Energy was organizing on let me think, 2 weeks or 1 week ago. It has been a busy time. And we have had there among winners companies which also were chosen. Mr. Kovalenko, I remember, he had a company chosen for its for the composition used in terms of retrofitting the building, which is made out of waste. That's a fantastic example, actually, of when you bring the national companies into this whole supply chain, when you can identify new companies which can play a huge important role. in terms of renovation. So what this study would show, what the purpose of the study is actually not only how we don't want to be in a situation where we have only foreign companies being involved into the retrofitting. Eventually, of course, we'll have to expand in terms of our needs. Clearly, the demand will be higher than the supply of the market and companies, both in construction and technical design of the projects. But this is a unique opportunity to have our own, let's say, local champions involved into the renovations of the buildings. Already in the public buildings, we have 4 projects running parallel. 4. In the residential, we have Residential Energy Efficiency Fund, and another project is being developed right now at EBRD and Termoelectrica for the installation of individual heating substations, plus switching from the vertical to horizontal distribution. So that's in fact what the purpose of the study, to have a full supply chain here involved for the energy efficiency. And we would I want to thank also to Igor's presence here for their commitment for our objectives and underlining support, and we would appreciate such support for this study. Thank you.
Thank you, Karolina. Any questions to Igor Litvinuk? All clear? Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on with
Thank you very much.
Lilia Popovic from State Protection and Guard Service to present the project Green Energy for Security, the premise for a safe and protective environment.
Hello everyone, my name is Lilia Popovic. I'm a protection officer within the State Protection and Guard Service. And our mission is to ensure the protection of the state dignitaries of the Republic of Moldova during their, and of course of the foreign dignitaries during their stay in our country, and the security of their workplaces and residences. In order to fulfill the above-mentioned duties and institutional goals, State Protection and Guard Service cooperates with the accredited embassies and international agencies and organizations on the territory of the Republic of Moldova. And due to these cooperation initiatives, were developed and implemented a series of infrastructure projects aimed to improve the institutional capacities. Besides performing its functional duties, State Protection and Guard Service is reliant on a series of objectives and strategies endeavoring to improve the professional capabilities of the employees according to European standards. One of the strategic objectives of the State Protection and Guard Service is the implementation of the photovoltaic panel installation project entitled Green Energy for Security, the premise for a safe and protected environment. We all know that Moldova's energy security nowadays is deeply influenced by its geopolitical environment and historical energy dependencies, of course, also the broader regional instability, particularly in Ukraine. The country is still working towards greater energy diversification, infrastructure modernization, and deeper integration with the EU to ensure a more secure and sustainable energy future. An example of alignment with this objective is the commitment of the State Protection and Guard Service to install the photovoltaic panels on the roof of the service's transport unit located in 99 Softei Street in Chișinău. And I would like to mention that State Protection and Guard Service possesses a transport unit of more than 80 vehicles properly equipped for the successful organization and accomplishment of the protection missions involving local and foreign principals on their visit or transit to the Republic of Moldova. Moreover, State Protection and Guard Service aims to modernize the car fleet with the electric vehicles, which is a strategic objective or priority for the next 3 years. So the overall objective of the project is improving the energy efficiency and sustainability of the State Protection and Guard Service infrastructure by installing photovoltaic panels on the roof of the auto unit, thus contributing to the diversification of energy sources, the reduction of operational costs, and the promotion of the use of renewable energy in accordance with the national and European commitments on the energy transition and environmental protection. The specific objectives here are diversification of energy sources through the development of renewable energies, modernizing energy infrastructure for efficiency and sustainability, aligning the services priority with the European standards. Next, reducing energy consumption and operational costs by implementing efficient solutions, increasing the use of renewable energy in state protection and guard services activities, promoting environmental education among employees and visitors. The next objectives will be improving the quality of life of citizens by creating a cleaner and safer environment, by reducing pollution and consumption of natural resources. Next one is ensuring a sustainable energy source for the state protection and guard service equipment, and increasing the efficiency of domestic operations and safety in protection missions. As result indicators, we'll have electric power station with the capacity of 70 kilowatt installed, expenses for the maintenance of the transport unit optimized, also the utilization of the electricity surplus ensured, and better working conditions, CO2 emission reduced, the optimal and continuous operation of the services vehicle within the protection mission provided, car unit modernized, project sustainability guaranteed for about 20 years, and of course, partnership with suppliers of innovative ecological and technological solutions developed. As the target groups and beneficiaries of this project, we would like to mention that the main target group or the main beneficiary will be the State Protection and Guard Service, because the energy security of the service, reducing long-term costs, improve the institutional image, and also support the transition of the Republic of Moldova towards a green and sustainable economy. Another beneficiary will be our dignitaries and foreign dignitaries, because the renewable energy produced by photovoltaic panels will contribute to the functionality and safety of the transport designed for the protection missions. And the last one will be the citizens. This project will contribute to increasing the safety of citizens in traffic, guaranteeing that the vehicles are ready and the risks of critical failures are minimized, also by educating and encouraging individuals to adopt energy-saving habits. And the estimated budget for this project ranges between 50 and 60,000 euros. And we also would like to mention, for your information, that State Protection and Guard Service has a precedent for a project regarding the installation of photovoltaic panels that was successfully implemented. So the service obtained external assistance for the installation of photovoltaic panels on the roof of the multidisciplinary center Mihai Eminescu from the Czech government, and through the implementation of this project, the service has improved the study conditions of the protection officers, as well as other beneficiaries of the project, such as the counterparts from abroad, representatives of the law enforcement institutions, students, civil society, and so on. So the successful initiative showcased the effectiveness of renewable energy and energy efficiency. So within 10 months, the 30 kilowatt system managed to generate 32,317 kilowatt, thus contributing to the quality of the continuous professional training of a process of the State Protection and Guard Service. Continuing the success achieved by installing these photovoltaic panels on the roof of Mihai Eminescu Multidisciplinary Center, the service proposes to expand the use of renewable energy by installing solar panels on the roof of the transport unit. Accordingly, the present project proposal will have a great impact on a long-term basis by ensuring an efficient energy source and reduce services costs. So, in the context of the above-mentioned facts, State Protection Guard Service called for the external partner support to successfully implement the project envisaged by this presentation, and is open to a cooperation in this sense meant to improve our capacities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Popovic. We'll share the project with all the donors, and then we'll get back to you. I'd like to ask Mr. Ivan Muntean. You need to leave now. Okay, then see you later, and then I'll ask then Denis Tomorrow to make the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like colleagues to point. Nu, doar o clipă să am point-ul celălalt. Well, let me welcome you on behalf of the Energy Committee Secretariat. I wanted actually to invite you to a quick walk through the Moldova's achievements as of 2024, the report for those that follow the Energy Committee Secretariat and its activity on December 11 last week. The Secretariat published its implementation report for the year 2024. Given that I'll be moving quickly to say through the presentation, I invite those interested in details to analyze the report or to look at my presentation afterwards. The content of the presentation, that's not only about gas. Today's presentation, Ms. Peritat also proved this, so my presentation will do the same. The energy sector is much more than gas and related issues. A few key achievements of 2024 as noticed by Vienna, by colleagues there. So the first message to say is that Moldova is the top performer within the energy community. We'll share with you a couple of figures in a second. Among the key achievements of the certification of Vestmoldtransgaz, finally, after not more than 4 to 6 years, the Moldovan authorities managed to get the Vestmoldtransgaz certified. Quite a good progress with the clean energy and electricity integration package transposition implementation. There is still room for more activities. Nevertheless, a good progress has been noticed. Moldova has committed to climate neutrality by 2050. By the way, only 2 contracting parties within the energy community committed climate neutrality by the same time horizon. Moldova by law and Georgia through their national strategy. And again, what I personally did not see in other contracting partners, here in Moldova, a great energy donors coordination is being practiced. Congratulations to the Ministry for this. You can see now here the results I promised to share. So besides the fact that Moldova is a top performer in 2024, now it's ranked 1 in the general ranking, to say, of the energy community. Yes, in 2022, Moldova was again the first, but in the overall ranking, it was only the 5th or 6th. So now Moldova is indeed the leader of within the energy community. A few details to share with you. The cutoff date of the Secretariat is November 1st, so we do count only the achievements officially, to say, registered by that date. Again, those interested may find more details about the way all the indicators, all the sectors were clustered and what indicators were actually scrutinizing. So all the details are present in the report itself. More details about the achievements. So first in our list is the market operator, designated by or appointed by the government, to say. Andrei has certified Vestmoldtransgaz, as mentioned earlier. Renewable capacities within the country are expanding. There is indeed a deployment or expanded at full speed, I would say, because we are already exceeded half of gigawatt, which is incredibly for Moldova during the last 2 years, I would say. Moldova, or the Moldovan government, continues with the clean energy package implementation. So not only transposition, implementation, which is the most difficult part to say. The Moldovan Residential Energy Efficiency Fund is part of these policies implementation, so the tool, the body, the institution is in place, and we expect it to start delivering rehabilitated buildings already in 2025. Regarding the gas, we value, or we have appreciated the way Moldova diversified its portfolio to date. And what is to highlight here is that the gas is non-Russian origin. Climate neutrality, already mentioned, only 2 countries within the contracting parties have committed this by 2050. Very important for the carbon agenda. Moldova adopted its law on climate actions, but also the so-called MRVA that would help the government to put those policies in place and prepare for the adoption and implementation of the EU-famous ETS. And Andrei has duly exercised its competences, especially on the segment of unbundling and certification of the both TSOs. Moving further, we dive into those 5 clusters or sectors that we distinguish, so markets and integration. You see a little bit of stagnation, to say, when it comes to electricity. It's quite clear the decision of the emergency commission somehow affected the development of the market. We know the reasons behind the missing, to say, or they destroyed, be the more objective or correct to say, Ukrainian system. Moldova being one of the importer, and we definitely without access to cheap electricity, you cannot supply the consumers here on the right bank. The same is, this comment is also valid for Romania because of the high tariffs. Our non-regulated segment stagnated, to say, during the 23-24. While in the gas sector, you see on the picture, we see a progress. The non-regulated suppliers having access to cheap or cheaper gas started supplying that sector, and you see how the indicators changed over last year. So also market, retail market. The situation there improved, unbundling also there, access to the system and regional integration, all the indicators have evolved. On that next slide, you see a bit of details. Let's move further. A better picture for the gas segment, as mentioned earlier. If you look at the decarbonization, the second and one of the most important pillars, again, a very good progress for the governance and climate segment area, mainly because of the adoption of the law on climate actions and the MRVA package. If you look at the renewable energy, the law or the last amendment, the most important one to the renewable energy, was adopted by the parliament on November 9th, immediately after the cut-off date. That's why the entire progress is being reflected this year. Energy efficiency, again, Moldova continues to be one of the best performing when it comes to energy efficiency. Nevertheless, there is room for more. That's why the project Igor presented would be, personally to say, would be very much. I would personally very much like to see such a project in Moldova, which I read in between the rows to say it's a project that would open the industry's eyes to the topic of energy efficiency or performance of buildings, which is, honestly saying, is missing currently. A new segment indicator emission trading scheme. So there is a push from Brussels, from Vienna, from Moldova and other countries to prepare for the adoption and implementation of the ETS. Moldova scored half of the possible points from the very beginning, again due to the same, agrees with the same law and MRVA package. We move further. A little bit of details shared on this screen for the governance and climate. Then renewable energy. What I would like to highlight here is, or to encourage Moldova to move further with the guarantees of origin. This is a new but very important pillar of the renewable energy directive. Sustainable criteria for biofuels and market, I personally would like to see it developing here in this country and Moldova to produce those biofuels and not import them. Would be a pity indeed Moldova to import bio products as well from the neighboring markets. Energy efficiency, we just to emphasize that we considered and scored all the reforms implemented here in Chisinau, the reorganization of the former Energy Efficiency Agency into a very modern institution. I'm referring now to the Center for Sustainable Energy. I'm also referring to the fund which was created. Emission trading scheme, so I referred it earlier regarding the security of supply, the next pillar. I should say that Moldova is the first country with the energy community that scores 100% NDC, the indicator security of gas supply. Moldova is the first country to get 100% for specific indicator. A little bit of progress in electricity. Unfortunately, we're not able to score the ministry or the government for the regulation on energy supply in the electricity sector. It was adopted quite last week. Oil segment is one that lags behind. We know, nevertheless, that there is a law in place, and we do encourage the government to start the public consultation. The Secretariat also expressed its willingness to support that process in a way. A little bit of details on next slide, and improving the environment, the fourth pillar. That's a little bit out of the topic. Nevertheless, I wanted to highlight that Moldova stands or is quite well positioned when it comes to environmental impact assessment and strategic environmental impact assessment, nature protection, large combustion plants, and industrial emissions. There is a law that should correct the situation when it comes a bit on the environmental liability segment. And sulfur in fuels, again, a sector which is out of the Ministry of Energy portfolio. There is still room for improvement there, just for you to know. Again, details about the indicators I just referred to. Performance of authorities, last but not least cluster. Moldovan ANRE is the best performer within the energy community. Again, a detail to share with you. So it's above the average, despite the -6 points which I see the last year. So the issue with all those downgrades, the issue that the Ministerial Council adopts early new legislation, new acquis, new indicators are put in place, and the situation changed a bit. For the competition authority and state authority, you see the scoring provided. We took note of the fine put by the council on the petroleum products importers. So that's not what we are encouraging, but we see that there are some decisions regarding the energy or energy related taken by the competition council. Statistics authority is the same, the best performer within the similar institutions within the energy community family. A bit of details provided on this slide, and I'd like to conclude with this last information. So what is the road ahead, expected one? So first, the ministry, the government, and ANRE to move further with implementation, transposition, adoption, the required legislation, and for the implementation of the so-called electricity integration package. So there are 9 very difficult, complex EU acts. The designation of NEMO is expected to happen as soon as possible. The Vestmoldtransgaz was certified. However, there are 7 conditions that have to be further fulfilled. ANRE is the body to further monitor and push the issue. Well, we do encourage the government to further diversify and open the market, both electricity and gas markets. The NECP to be adopted as soon as possible. I referred earlier to the emerging oil stocks, to sustainability criteria for biofuels and GHG emissions. Please do not forget about these. And I would personally encourage TA providers, development partners to look into this area, very promising one. Law on climate actions required for the push. The long-term strategy for the 2050 horizon should also be put on table by the government, the Minister of Environment being responsible for this piece of legislation. Clean energy package should be also among the priorities, and the capacities in all the institutions connected to the energy or to the environment / climate. Chair, this is all from my side. Thank you for keeping it. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to express my gratitude on behalf of the Minister of Energy to Moldova Energy Security Activity, to United Nations Development Programme, to European Bank for Development and Reconstruction, to Expertise France, and to a EU high-level advisor for helping the Ministry of Energy to be on the first place today in the report of the energy community. Thank you very much. We have the World Bank waiting to intervene online. So I'd like to invite Silvia Romero, Roger Cannell, and Melanie Simon-Trost. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. You have the floor.
Great. Thank you very much. So let me see if I can. Can you see my screen? Is it possible for you to see my slides?
Not yet. Just a second.
Yes. Yeah, in case there is a problem, I guess, and you have them, in case you can display them, if that is easier for you, that's also fine with me.
Okay, then can I also ask you, because we are a little bit below time, to use those 8 minutes for the presentation? Thank you.
Sure. Okay, well, so gratefully you can try to project if you cannot see them. So, I mean, today, we already reported on our projects in the last presentation, so we didn't. We wanted to maybe use this slot of time to give a brief overview of one preliminary assessment we have done in collaboration. With information received from the different stakeholders, and we were there last week to confirm some of our assumptions. This was a bit to do some kind of independent assessment from the government, even if we have to rely, of course, in many of the public data, and to really see what are the potential and issues that can arise from the cutoff of gas from Ukraine, right? So I think you received a brief note that we prepared, but I think we wanted to highlight that we have run several scenarios, focusing on those that we consider more likely, and also those that could be the worst case scenario, to prepare for the worst case scenarios as well, right? So we took as baseline basically what happened in 2024, which is kind of a year in which the prices of gas and electricity are relatively low. And then we run a scenario in which we assume shortages, basically that there will be that there will be no gas available for MGRE, so the right bank will need to rely on imports. But even maximizing those imports, we see that there is a need for curtail around maybe 20% of the demand in some particularly peak demand. due to the difficulties. Even with all the measures that have been implemented, some of them are unlikely to support too much, particularly with the situation in Ukraine right now, as Prime Minister mentioned. And in this case, the prices of electricity are quite high, so we did an estimation under those prices, and we assume that there will be no gas, and that as a consequence in the left bank, there will be no access to heating based on gas. And on the electricity side, we assume that they could run on coal for a while. As this was said, the information we had, they could run one of the blocks, they have 20 megawatts using coal for about 50 days, and some of the gas stored on the pipelines and some of the balances, right? But that will not take the left bank more beyond beyond the 2 months, right? Then we have a worse scenario in which, from the economic point of view, in this import shortage scenario, there will be no shortages because we assume some gas is procured to the left bank, at least to cover the difference between imports and the peak demand. But of course, the cost of this gas is very expensive, and also the cost of electricity imported is also very expensive. And then we ran also a scenario in which gas is supplied to provide the NGRES with full capacity, basically to provide the left bank and the right bank. And then also finally another scenario in which we don't we consider that there is a bit of some restrictions on the use of NGRES, right? But I think the important thing is that, and what we wanted to see is how much funding would be needed to purchase all this gas and electricity over the full 2025. And then also if basically the lines of credit that this revolving facility of EBRD would be enough to cover this. No? And we cannot answer the second question on that. I think more analysis could be needed, but a cash flow analysis to understand really the payments and when the repayments are done. But we wanted to see, and we have the monthly data of the gas and electricity that should be purchased with these prices, relatively conservative prices that are quite high. But gas prices could also go up, independently of what we put here, right? So, and the worst case scenario, from the economic, the financial point of view, would be this import surge in which we have to import everything and electricity, and it would be around, it will require around 463 for electricity purchases, and in total would be for the right bank around 542. And then millions for electricicity, and similarly, we could, if we do the cost push, basically the additional, we will need also for the left bank another 500,000, right? In order to cover, if we want to the cost push analysis scenario, we will need about 1 billion to cover the needs of both the left bank and the right bank. So this is quite significant amount of funding. However, the revolving facility may or may not be sufficient to cover for this. No? So this, we will recommend to maybe do some analysis on this, and maybe EBRD colleagues can help because they know the utilization of that line of credit for the moment. I think on this, after this, I will pass to Melanie so she can present a bit. After that, we did an analysis on the impact on the macro impact and also the impact on poverty. Still preliminary, but I think it's quite useful to have this to understand the consequences under different scenarios and how the shortages, despite it's not so challenging financially, the shortage scenario will have very severe consequences on the GDP and poverty. Over to you, Melanie.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, and thank you for the opportunity to present this analysis. So as Sylvia mentioned, we ran the scenarios that she just presented in our macro models. So we used 2 models to reflect these scenarios and to assess both a scenario where we only look at price shocks and also a scenario where we look both at price and supply restrictions, that means load sheddings, in 2 separate macro models. And what we find is that in a scenario where there's only price shocks, we get an impact on economic activity of about 1.5 percentage points lower than what we see in the baseline, so with no shocks, as well as an employment decline of about 0.8%. Now, This is expected to increase significantly when we talk about shortages in the economy. So we assume a supply shock of 20% in the electricity sector. And the results or the impact on economic activity can be between 2 to 8%, depending on the economy's ability to basically replace gas and electricity with other supplies, or also by improving efficiency in outputs. We assume that it can be up to 8% in the short term because the economy has difficulties in the short term to adapt to new realities. In a scenario with shortages, we see a huge impact specifically on the energy sector as expected, but also in the manufacturing sector. And employment can be up to 1 to 4 percentage points lower in this extreme scenario. In addition to that, we also see in our models that the prices, consumer prices, will increase in all scenarios substantially. So we expect that there will be a direct impact on prices of about 4% in all the scenarios, which will increase up to 7% because some of the inputs, energy inputs, will be accounted for in other products, which will then reflect on consumers at the end. Now, we ran this analysis on the right bank. We didn't have very good data on the left bank, but what we expect is that the macroeconomic consequences will be much more severe, given that prices, so both electricity prices and gas prices, could increase by 5 to 20 times compared to what the left bank consumers are currently paying. Next slide, please. We also did an assessment of the scenarios on poverty in Moldova. And for that, we are assuming that the wholesale prices will be reflected 1-to-1 in consumer prices, so tariffs. And that's a pessimistic assumption, but we assume a 190% increase in electricity prices from January, as well as a 25% increase in gas tariffs from December, so which is very much in line with what government did in December. Now, for this exercise, we're using household survey data, so we're not using administrative data, but we managed to align very much with what the government already presented for the first EVRF payouts in November. So we are looking at the EVRF, the revised one, that has been rolled out, and we find that the EVRF benefits are having a very broad coverage if you look at household survey data. So about 90% of households are stimulated to get benefits, and these benefits also seem to be progressive, with lower quintiles getting more benefits overall. Now, we indicate these price increases that I just mentioned before, and we find that without mitigation measures, so without EVRF, there will be significant poverty impacts simulated by up to 16 percentage points increase in the national poverty rate. Now, with the EVRF, as it currently stands, we expect that it will have a significant poverty reduction impacts of about 8.5% over the heating period. We also used the model to estimate the cost for the heating season. So we used the same parameters as the government currently has, and we estimate that the total cost for the EVRF for the heating season would be around 1.7 billion. And we understand that there is a budget available of around 1.5 billion, which has to be obviously verified and confirmed. So what we're estimating based on this preliminary estimates is that there is a funding gap of around 10 million euro for the heating season. However, it's also important that to understand whether the households could be enrolling subsequently and throughout the heating season, which could imply higher costs. Also, it would be important to understand whether the EVRF would be needed after the heating season as well to account for higher electricity prices. So that is on the poverty and macro assessment that we have. And over to you, Sylvia, on the policy recommendations.
Thank you. So yeah, so I think what we will propose is, yeah, we have just tried to map here basically what are the measures that could be taken by the government and what type of support is available and what could be useful to do. No, of course, in order to purchase, secure enough funding to complete the supply of the gas purchases for the purchases of electricity and gas is critical. I think particularly gas for the winter season. I think that is almost completed. But for the right bank, but it's very simple to do, and also check if, as I mentioned, if the funding provided by EBRD is enough to cover all the needs of over the year. No, if we assume just to do a modeling of the cash flows that are expected for the purchases and of gases, electricity, and the revenues that are expected to be obtained in the right bank, I think that could help to understand if there is any financial gap that will require additional support there. Then, of course, the CHPs will need to operate at higher generation capacity, even if some overheating will be needed. There should be all the measures that have been identified in the plan on the managements should be implemented. There is a plan for rotating load shedding, but apparently it only allows to kind of cut 300 megawatts if needed. I think this may need to be like an emergency scenario should be also maybe considered in case there is a need to curtail more in case that imports from Ukraine are reduced, and in that case that would be needed maybe to do a load shedding that could be up to 500 megawatts. I think it would be important to prepare for that scenario if that happens. And I think, adjustments on the tariff methodologies, we understand that it has to be, the regulator is working on that to really ensure that there is a minimum financial gap, but also to try to minimize to the possible extent huge peaks for the tariffs, electricity tariffs, if possible. And I think communication campaign to the population may be useful to really communicate these potential impacts at the due time to explain clearly why this is happening and what is being done and why they need to collaborate to try to reduce peak demand in the best possible way, to really minimize the potential higher load shedding. We think that also liquidity support for firms may be important because the IVRF protects the households, but as Melanie has explained, there is a lot of impact on firms, particularly because the costs that we are estimating here don't consider supplying of gas or electricity to firms, right? So this is basically, in the left bank in particular, we are considering that those that will not have access to gas or electricity, which is a big assumption as well, right? And it will have also impacts on the left bank that we cannot. Our assessment has been mostly focused on the right bank because there is no data on the left bank, but we can assume that the impacts are going to be much more severe over there. And then ensuring that the EBRF funding and implementation capacity is sufficient, right? I mean, as Melanie has said, we have this information that there is this 1.5 billion lay available, but it would be good to confirm if this is, that this disbursement schedule also matches the needs of the government and if there is any gap there to really, because even with that, there is still a gap of around $10 million euro that could be supported maybe by the donor community. And in the medium term, I think we are working on this. Of course, alternative energy supplies, renewable energy balancing, additional interconnectors, energy efficiency, support of firms transitioning to higher prices, and pass the structural price increases, adjusting tariffs, revise the EBRF to make it a bit more, to transition to a consumption norm based on the square footages of the houses, and I see a clear sensibilization and communication campaign for the population because the electricity tariffs look that they could be there to stay, at least in the right bank. And I think it is important to think about that. No, the EBRF will support during heating season, but can the households really afford this? Significant electricity tariffs, double or triple, depending on the scenario, and what could be done to really mitigate a bit the impacts in the short term. So I think on the conclusions, basically, what we will say is that, yeah, we think that the right bank has secured funding to purchase gas and electricity, but I think it would be good to double check if in the worst case scenario, in this case, the import shares scenario or the cost plus, at least, if we can really purchase all the gas and electricity every month, I think that should be maybe done. And in parallel, maybe ensure that there is sufficient secure additional funding to mitigate the impact on households that, preliminarily we estimate around a 10 million euro gap, but I think maybe this should be, of course, confirmed by Ministry of Labour and Social Protection and evaluate if this is accurate or if we need a more detailed analysis. And then, in the worst case scenario, which is likely to materialize in the first months, basically there will be shortages of electricity in the right bank, but the left bank will have no electricity and no heating. Unless electricity will run on coal, but what if this coal is not operational or something happens, right? So in any case, the heating will be challenging there. So it is likely that some humanitarian support or plans for the left bank should be prepared in case the worst case scenario materializes. And I think we're wondering if the distribution of these generators and electric heaters could be prepared, and also if electric heaters are used in a massive way, there could be also challenges for the distribution networks over there, even if they run on coal, and the distribution network can be severely impacted, and we have seen this in other countries. And again, there may be also migration of population or displacements, temporary displacements, so to the right bank, and maybe this should be considered as a potential scenario to be prepared for that. Well, thank you very much. So we stop here. We didn't want to basically repeat what the government is doing, and we know they are doing, but we wanted to have a kind of our own assessment, and we are happy to look into more into further analysis or correct any assumptions if you think it is necessary, right? Over to you. Thank you very much.
Silvia, thank you very much. I think your presentation is very timely, and I'll ask Konstantin Borosans, the Secretary from the Ministry of Energy, to have an intervention here because it's just the area that he covers. Please, Konstantin,
Thank you,
5
Christina.
minutes.
Thank you, Christina. Dear colleagues, few elements to be considered. One, we discussed obviously in advance the scenarios that World Bank has designed. One important conclusion, that's obviously we don't wake up yesterday with this issue. That's, yeah, we are with this subject for a while from the beginning of this year, and several scenarios are, or several assessments for all the scenarios were drafted. Another is with the support of USAID MESA. Another is our in-house. The good conclusion is that the figures are quite the same. So the figures for the scenarios are quite the same, meaning that we have consistency in the calculations. And thank you, World Bank, USAID, MESA, for providing this analysis. Now, there are two things. One is left bank, another is right bank. So from gas perspective, to right bank, there are no any constraints at all. There are sufficient gas already procured for entire winter. There are stocks, gas in storages. At the beginning of January, we will have around 110 million cubic meters of gas in storages, different kinds, security stocks, flexible product, and so-called storage obligation. What does it mean? It means time to react in case something is happening. This offers us 110 million cubic of gas. That's 1 month left bank consumption. That's sufficient time to secure, identify, intervene, and take needed measures. With electricity, that's a bit more complicated, and in terms of financially and in terms of technically. In case there are no gas to left bank, to MGRES, to produce electricity, immediately that's for us, from where we take this electricity. Today, import capacity from, today MGRES is supplying in peak hours 600 megawatts. So we need to replace these 600 megawatts. From where we take them? 315 is the limit from ENTSO-E, from EU. We sent letters to ENTSO-E, to DG NIR, to DG ENER, with the proposal to find the solution, to Energy Committee to find the solution how to increase the NTC capacity. There is room, there is potential to reallocate capacities on other borders which are not used. So we very much look forward that this will be successfully allocated, top up with additional 80 megawatts. So 315 plus 80 is 395. Then additional 110, that's conservative, realistic. We can bring with additional 4 lines of 110 kV with Romania. We are very closely working with Romanian counterpart colleagues from the Ministry of Energy from Romania. They are very open to support. Transelectrica and Moldelica are cooperating. Now the task is to identify how commercially is allocated this capacity. And again, that way of working is very unusual. It's very unusual when we build these islands to protect the lines. So we limit their load, not to put over the risk that they will be overloaded. That's why we're building islands. So another 110 megawatts, that's 505. Still 10 megawatts is something to be met. There are potential that CHPs are increasing their capacity. But again, that's very unusual regime because it means that the hot water and the district heating will be higher than the standards. So that's, again, electricity could be met, but it means that more heat is produced. And yes, we consider very unpopular measure, but which is very needed, that all generation in country remains in country, meaning that no exports, and that's measure according to the emergency action plan in electricity sector. They were mentioned by World Bank experts regarding load shedding. We don't consider that's realistically, really. Till the end of December, there is very clear contract with MGRES to cover all the consumption. That's very clear till the end of this year. There are no any doubts. The demand is covered. The load shedding rule says that if there are no commercial volumes to cover consumption, in that case is applied load shedding, and they are like steps of disconnecting gradually end users who are not. There are a list of priority consumers who cannot be disconnected in any way, like hospitals, public institutions, social buildings, multi-story apartment buildings, water supply, district heating, and so on. There are other kind of end users who can be disconnected for a short period of time, and this load shedding is rotating mechanism. They were mentioned about 300 megawatts. Not there, like several steps which are designed by distribution system operator, and they are applied depending on how much is the deficit. It could be only like 100, 200, 300 megawatts, depending on how high is the deficit. We consider that technically and commercially we can meet the demand. Usually, and we see already the results, that our communication, that's experience of 2022, and now that we need to cut peaks, and that is working because peaks are very short hours during the day, but we save significant amount of money because peaks are very expensive at the electricity exchange. So we believe again that this measure provides results. That's of 2022 we cut 50 megawatts from public communication regarding a load regarding peaks shaving. So that would be, in a nutshell, scenarios you've seen. They are the same: either import, either grass, either mixed scenario. That's what is considered. Yeah, and maybe if after the meeting here we can at the break also exchange on this topic.
Thank you very much, Konstantin. So we should have ended the meeting at 4 o'clock, but we have 4 more presentations. I suggest we go with donors, with Will, then with Ina from Source Foundation, then we come back to CNED and MEPU. Please, 5 minutes each. Thank you very much for your understanding.
Good afternoon. Sorry?
Lady first.
Thanks. I'll try to keep this quick. Since our last meeting, we've been busy on multiple fronts, assisting on the analysis assessments for winter energy supply. I have no presentation, so don't worry, I'll talk. Legal regulatory forms, planning and analysis, market development, capacity building, and infrastructure development. I think most pertinent to this conversation right now and what we're talking about is gas. So USAID's MESA program, that's our Moldovan energy security activity, has prepared scenarios for electricity and gas supplies for this winter. They examined various risks and costs. There were 9 scenarios that we developed and that defined and estimated the financial impact on energy bills. Those included changes in the regional prices for electricity and gas, changes in the transit cost for gas, stopping gas delivery altogether by Gazprom, and others. A sensitivity analysis of the results was also completed to assess the impact of the political risks and the possibility of alleviating the cost impact by implementing the set of measures proposed by the Ministry of Energy in its draft action plan from 2024 to 2025 heating season. The results showed that overall cost for electricity and gas consumption would increase by a lot. I think you heard some of the figures from the World Bank. Ours are very close to that. We also updated analysis on improving the security of gas supply from a longer-term perspective. And we've been assisting Energocom in its efforts to secure gas and electricity supplies and storage of gas. With our support through the Connect for Growth program, or C4G, Energocom continues to provide bids using the BRM platform for the winter period and expanding bilateral contracts with Romania and Nuclear Electrica. We've had many interventions in the regulatory sphere, legal and regulatory. I'm not going to talk about that. We've been helping on planning and strategies, energy efficiency, which you've already heard about. On our capacity building, we continue to build Moldova's energy capacity within their institutions. The physical and market coupling with Romania. USAID has organized trainings for the transmission system operators in Romania and Moldova on market coupling principles and systems. Through NERUC, we also organize trainings for ANRE on market coupling as well. We're developing a market management system, planning to provide rules and design along with IT needs from Mold Electrica. On infrastructure, I think you know what we're doing. Our investment is 380 of that has already gone to on-budget support, which was last 2 years ago. But we're building a transmission line from Romania to Moldova and looking at future generation in country as well as a battery energy storage system. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That was very punctual. Let's move to Ina Kretso from Soros Foundation, please.
Good afternoon. I have a presentation. Can we have it on the screen? Thank you, first of all, for this opportunity. I need to okay, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I will try to present very briefly main activities and our assistance for the energy field and to the Ministry of Energy. Energy field is a new area of assistance in the Foundation's portfolio, and we launched this assistance in autumn last year. What are our achievements till now? Last autumn we prepared a survey on Moldovan citizens' perception regarding the compensation for energy resources for the heating season 2022-2023, and we presented the results of this survey at a public event in November last year. Also, we have conducted a public policy fellowship program for 6 months in the Ministry of Energy for 6 interns, and this program has been completed in April this year, and I would like to mention here that 2 out of 6 interns were employed in the Ministry of Energy. Also, as Ms. Peretyatko already mentioned in her presentation, a concept on management of natural gas networks owned by third parties has been developed with the Foundation's assistance and officially presented during a public event on July 1st this year. Another important activity that we completed in October was the program of corporate governance for 7 state energy companies. Within this activity, we developed a set of documents as corporate governance code, regulation for board, regulation for audit committee, and so on. And all this set of documents for 7 companies were approved by the boards of these companies during July and October this year. Also, we organized several communication events, for example, a conference in April of this year for this public policy fellowship program, also 2 informal debates, so-called Chatham houses, media clubs, and so on. This is our achievements. Now I would like to present our ongoing activities for the Ministry of Energy. First of all, we have an ongoing activity that started in October this year and will last till July next year. This is related to the legal framework, related to the concept on management of natural gas networks owned by third parties. As I mentioned, we have already developed and the Ministry of Energy validated this concept, and now we have contracted a team of experts that are developing the legal framework related to this concept. You can see the details on the slides. Next year we will also organize an event where this legal framework will be presented to the stakeholders. And next two activities are related to the transposition of the EU acquis. So the first one is transposition of European Commission decision on 19 November 2008. It is related to establishing the guarantees of origin for electricity produced through high efficiency cogeneration. Within this activity, which will will be completed now in the end of December, beginning of January. We will develop a dedicated concept of this and two government decisions in order to transpose this Commission decision from 2008. And another activity related to the transposition of EU acquis, it is a joint activity of the Ministry of Energy with the Ministry of Infrastructure, Regional Development, Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Finance. And this activity is related to the transposition of the EU directive from 2009 related to the promotion of clean and energy efficient road transport vehicles. Here a draft law will be developed so this activity will last till June next year, and a draft law will be developed to transpose this directive and all the necessary set of documents, and the public presentation of this new law will be organized next year with the assistance of the foundation. Also, I would like especially to mention one important project that is now ongoing. So it is called Local Partnership for Energy Efficiency and Social Services. It is a big project with a budget of 4.8 million euro, and it is financed by EU, co-financed by Soros Foundation Moldova, and implemented by Soros Foundation, Keystone Moldova, and Fondul de Inovații Sociale. So this project will last for started in the beginning of this year, will last for 3 years, and now we have received the concept notes from 49 civil society organizations, and so now they are preparing detailed project proposals related to the energy efficiency measures in social building, and finally the final goal is to select 35 civil society organizations for offering them the grants for implementing different energy efficiency measures in social buildings. And of course, Foundation is ready to offer further assistance in the energy field, some activities of the transposition of the EU acquis, development of studies, different organization of different communication and awareness events. So the Foundation also is ready to provide next year the assistance for other potential activities in the energy field. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to give the floor to Ion Muntean, the Director of National Center for Sustainable Energy. Ion, I would appreciate 5 minutes if you can.
Good afternoon. Do you hear me well? Okay, thanks. Yeah, I need the pointer as well. So I'll focus only on the last progress on implementation of the programs within CNED. So on the REEF, what's important to inform you is that we are going to revise the conditions to amend the operational manuals of financing products. So those who are interested in the subject can provide us some feedback or some comments to the documents. They are available on our webpage. On the progress, so far we have 62 household associations with 81 buildings and more than 5,000 apartments for which we are preparing energy audits or technical design. With 8 of household associations, we are in process of preparation of technical design. With some of them are in advanced phase, with others at the incipient phase. On energy vulnerable households, we have visited about 350 individual households, and already with GIZ support, we prepared the energy audits for 58. Another lot of 56 will be audited beginning of next year. Also, GIZ support. On financing of REEF, we have 6 million of euro accumulated within energy efficiency obligation scheme. 3 million of euro technical assistance through GIZ in process of preparation of the contracts, 10 million of euro in discussions with EIB EU financing, and 1 million of euro in the process to be accessed from NORAD. Yeah, we are already with draft contracts concluded. On the eco voucher, we implemented successfully the first stage of national program. Within less than 2 months, we redeemed more than 7,200 eco vouchers to the vulnerable households. So we did also some estimates on the savings and the impact of the program. But what is important that indeed we managed within less than 2 months to implement this program with about 2.5 billion of euro. And we also are going to review the operational manual and also financing program, considering the new amendments to the regulations on energy vulnerability. So this will happen soon. I'll make available the presentation in order to be able to consult more details, but this is very short information regarding the budget. For the next year, we expect to receive 7.5 million from NORAD, from Norwegian Development Cooperation Agency through GIZ, in order to continue the implementation of the program, and we are looking for other resources, as this is one of the fastest programs in implementation, in reaching the beneficiaries, final beneficiaries, and the reduction their bills. And on Super ESCO, we are at phase, we are at the phase of internal consultations of the draft government decision of the program. This is support provided by USAID. And last week we signed a contract with Slovak Embassy of Moldova, Slovak Aid support of 100,000 euro for completion of 2 energy efficiency projects in 2 public institutions. And we became this year members of observer members of European Energy Network, and next year we waiting for the results in order to become full members of the network. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Director, maybe just specifically, and apologies, maybe I missed it, got distracted, but how many technical design of the projects do we have currently signed? So 12, okay, to be finalized. And for next year, the timeline, more or less, for everyone, it's clear. You start, the National Center for Sustainable Energy starts the construction works of how many envisaged multi-apartment buildings and how many individual houses?
We talk about the 20 housing associations and individual households, 200 existing houses. And also we expect to launch the third financing product, which is developed with support of GIZ at the beginning of next year, in order to launch the program for the regular families. And we hope, we intend about 1,000 beneficiaries to have next year, but it depends on how fast we'll advance with information system, the information platform, which is needed to collect the applications and to make evaluation and so on. We want for the third financing product dedicated to the regular families to apply on the information platform in order to make possible a bigger number of beneficiaries to be included in the program and to process all.
Thank you very much. Perhaps I would suggest the following, maybe for the next Energy Donors Coordination Council, we come also with an estimated needs way up on your side specifically for the 2025.
some needs related to the studies, and we will approach directly the partners. For the next year, of course, we will come with additional needs.
Thank you, Ion. I'd like to give the floor to Ruslan Surujuk, please, 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. It seems like I need to be super effective and concise. I would still use this opportunity to present you some updates on the progress of the projects or the portfolio of projects that we are implementing, and those investment projects are a logical follow-up of all those policy and sectoral approach, and all those efforts are even more important given all these current circumstances or potential future realities. And here I would like to mention those projects that are already implemented. So first one is here related is World Bank funded project. It's development of energy power sector, namely very heavily mediated transportation line, Vulcanești-Chișinău. We are doing that at a full speed right now. So currently we are having about 47% of that project implemented. We have a very challenging deadline of December 25, and we are focusing on having all contractors in line with this timeline. Also part of this project, once again, there are three sub-projects, I would say. One is the line, the second one is the station in Chișinău, and the other one is Vulcanești. Vulcanești is the last one that is still to be launched, the works to be launched, so we expect that early next year we'll sign the contract to the future contractor. Second large project is improvement of energy efficiency for the district heating system, namely Termoelectrica, Chișinău municipality. And here we can say that we already delivered this year two large packages. That is, one of them is a new pumping station, feed water pump, which with an estimated 3.5 years payback period. Of course, that has an impact, positive impact on the costs. And the second package is installation of 155 substations. That is already on the demand side, with an estimated impact of between 10 and 20% decreased consumption. Another large package which is ongoing right now is the 55 megawatt new cogeneration plant. The bidding is ongoing, so we do expect by the end of January to have the bidders submitted for the evaluation. So the first quarter next year to have at least the evaluation completed. Another large project is energy efficiency, Moldova Energy Efficiency Project, funded financed by European Union, European Investment Bank, and EBRD. This project considers the largest 10 medical institutions. So we have separated them in two waves. First wave is already the designing work is already done, is ongoing. So we expect by the end of this year to have the first two institutions with the technical design completed. So early next year to have already the bid for the construction work launched. by the end of next year to have the second wave already completed the design work. I'm trying to be super fast, so
I appreciate that.
to use this opportunity and to relate a little bit on the two new projects. First one is so-called STEAM project, again funded by World Bank. So it relates to the funds. The budget is $54.5 million US. We have also the contribution from MGROW. That is quite important to underline. And actually it has three components. So first one is improvement of energy efficiency for 46 schools. The second one is again continuation to support Termoelectrica improving the demand side with at least 280 substations. And the third component is supporting center with the institutional capacities and on the sustainable financing mechanism. Another project is to be launched next year is a project we call it Inspire. It is funded by AFD and KFV with a total budget of about 73 million, and and the government of Moldova has also a contribution of 4.3 million euro. The objective of this project is public buildings in health sector and educational sector. So the list is already concluded. The feasibility study is finished, completed, and now we started we continue actually the stage of preparing this large project, where we do work with the financiers closely to have all documentations prepared to have the project started in the second half of 25. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Apologies that we are late almost 40 minutes, but it was the last meeting for this year, so we had a lot to tell you, and you also had a lot to tell us. So concluding this meeting, I'd like first of all, I know it's donors meeting, but I'd like to thank my colleagues from the ministry, because behind every single meeting there is a team effort that makes it possible to have it well organized. I'd like to again, together with my colleagues, to express my gratitude to all of you for showing solidarity, for showing support, for being flexible to our needs. And I think I told this once at our meeting, that I read this quote 2 years ago, that a smooth sea never builds a skilled sailor. So we are learning to be skilled, and I would also like to thank a person who is not here with us today, Mr. Viktor Parlikov, who built the Ministry of Energy. And taking into account that Christmas holidays are next week, I would like to invite all of you to a kind of Swiss table with some sparkling wine outside in the corridor. Thank you very much again, and see you all in 2025.